What is up, guys? Welcome to the Beat Lab. So this is my first official video on YouTube, and what we're going to be doing today is making a beat like Metro Boomin. So I'm just going to basically just walk you through all the steps to making a basic beat, and we're just going to see how to make that sound like a Metro Boomin beat. So on this channel I'm going to try to be posting content pretty regularly, and basically what it's going to be is just a lot of tutorials on how to enhance your producing skills. So this is for beginning producers mainly, and so I've been producing for 4 or 5 years, and I'm going to try to get you to my level, and I'm also going to try to get you to be able to develop your own creative style in production. So let's get into it. Alright, so every beat can be broken into several major components. So the first of these components is the lead. So the lead is basically like a synthesizer, or it can be a guitar, a piano, anything that you want that's the main instrument, the foundation, or like the backbone of your beat. So in this case I have a synth, kind of like a piano sounding thingy, so that's what it sounds like basically. Pretty straightforward. So I'm just going to record in my melody. Alright, so I'm just going to give that a go, see how it goes. Alright, so that is my melody. I'm just going to quantize it really fast. And, well, that's not the melody, it's the lead, sorry. But, so I quantized it, and basically what quantizing is it's just taking all the notes, the individual notes as you can see right here, and just making them so they all lock exactly into place with the metronome, so they're all perfectly on beat and exactly where I want them to be. So, we have our lead, so now we're going to start structuring it a little bit. First I'm just going to loop this a couple of times, and now I'm going to start the drum pattern. So the first section of the drum pattern that I'm going to do is the claps. So the claps are a pretty basic thing. It's going to be a very basic pattern, and basically just what I'm going to do here is, so I have a trap drum track. Here's my clap. Oh, that's not my clap. There's my clap. Alright, so for my claps I have a drum track that I already set up. So this is just a generic trap drum track. It just sounds like that. So that's my clap noise. And basically, so for this clap, the only main thing that I did to it was I just changed the equalizer a little bit. And what the equalizer does is, so it shows you all your tones. So here are your lower tones, and then it goes all the way up to the highest tones. And I just, I kind of brought up the low tones a little bit to give it a bit of kick, and I brought up the high tones a little bit, but I kind of brought down the mid tones so it wouldn't sound too muddy. So that is my clap. So I'm just going to play that in really fast. Oops, I made a mistake on that last thing. Alright, so now I have my claps, quantized those, and now we're going to move on to the next part of the drum pattern. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to add is the kicks. So, the kick drum, I use the same drum kit as the claps, it's just the trapdoor drum kit. And then for the equalizer for these kicks, I brought up the low tones a little bit, as you might expect, because it's supposed to be kind of like the lowest part of your drums. And then I brought down the high tones a lot because I really didn't want the kick mushing with the claps, because that really wouldn't sound good at all. So that's what my kick sounds like. I'm just going to turn this up a little bit. Alright, so now I'm just going to record that in. And I'm going to try to make an interesting pattern that I can later match with the 808s. And I'll explain that in more depth later. Alright, and you heard a little bit of my hi-hats, as I have them up here. And the reason that I already did the hi-hats is because they do take a little bit of extra time. So I'm just now going to explain to you how I made these hi-hats, and just the basic way that you'll want to make hi-hat patterns for hip-hop tracks like this one. So basically, so I took my hi-hat noise. This is what it sounds like. I first equalized it, so I really got rid of all the low tones because you don't want any low tones in your hi-hat. And then I kind of got rid of a little bit of the high tones too, just to kind of dull it down, but that's just for my personal taste. For a lot of tracks, I would actually recommend bringing up the high frequencies to kind of make it sound a little bit brighter, but that's not really important for this. Anyways, so what I did is I took my hi-hat and I first programmed it into 16th notes. And what 16th notes sound like are this. Actually, that's 8th notes, sorry. It's like... So that's 16th notes. And basically, so the way that you get 16th notes is you have a one measure, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Each one of those, so 1, each 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4. That's a fourth, and then so you just divide that by 2 and you get an eighth, and then divide that by 2 and you get a 16th. So it's 16 times in one measure. That's a 16th. Anyways, so I have my 16th notes, and then all I did is I deleted the third 16th note right here, as you can see, and then I just substituted it with 4 64th notes. So basically, that just sounds really fast. It's like, and here's what it sounds like by itself. You have 16th, 16th, so it's like, and that's basically just 2 16ths, 4 64ths, and then the rest 16ths, and then it just loops again. So it's a pretty basic hi-hat pattern, but it does the trick, and this is what it sounds like. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do is program in the 808s. So for these 808s, I took a trap bass, which comes stock with Logic, and then I equalized it a bit so I would get the very, very low ranges to come up. And then I distorted it a decent amount. I used a bit crusher, and I also just used a distortion plugin. And the idea of that is to kind of raise the intensity, because on its own that trap bass just sounds a little bit weak. So the distortion makes it sound a little stronger. Let's see. So it's kind of a bit of an intense, but also not too intense. It's kind of, in the middle. So that is my 808. And now the trick is, to make it sound really good, is that I have to match the 808 pattern with the kick pattern. So the kick pattern that I have is this. Okay, so that's my kick pattern. So now I want to match the 808 pattern with the kick pattern. So let's see. All right. Let's see about this. All right. So that worked pretty well. Not perfect, but it got the job done. So now let's just listen to the kick with the 808 and see how that sounds. So you get the idea. It kind of just brings out a little bit more intensity in both of them. Also, I apologize for my really bad speakers. They started blowing out the other day. So I have some new ones coming in the mail. For my next video, it's going to sound a lot better. I promise you guys. Anyways, let's move on to the next section. So now I'm going to add an accent on the drum pattern. So basically what an accent is it's just a little background noise that just kind of makes the whole mix sound a little bit fuller, maybe a little bit more exciting. There's really a ton of ways to go with an accent, so I'm not going to show you all the accents that I add. I'm just going to show you one of them. So I'm just going to add this little snare. And we're just going to see how that sounds. Yeah, so it's not the greatest pattern. It's pretty simple, but I don't know, I think it kind of livens it up a little bit. So I'm just gonna skip ahead a little bit and add some other stuff like that that's not really that significant. And then I'm gonna show you what I have. Alright, so I added a couple more of those accents on the drum pattern, and then I also added a two separate riffs. Each riff is 4 bars. So I used the same instrument as my synth lead, and then I panned them both to opposite sides, so you can't really hear that on this microphone, but when you're listening to the actual mix with headphones, doing tricks with panning really does help a lot, and I'll probably do a video on that later on, and I'll show you how much of a difference that makes. It makes a pretty big difference, I would say. So here are my two riffs, so I'm just going to show you those really quickly. So that's the first riff, that's 4 bars. Alright, so I did that, and then I also kind of structured this whole thing a little bit. I just started it out with the basic lead, and then for the drop, I didn't really do anything special. I kind of just brought in the 808s, brought in the drums, all that stuff, and then the accents kind of build in progressively. There's only like 2 or 3, and you can't really hear them that well. But let's just take a listen to the whole thing, see how it sounds. I'm gonna start it from the beginning, I guess. Let me know in the comments what you think, and let's take a listen. So this is just our basic lead, and now we're about to hear the drop. It's a pretty basic drop, nothing special. So now we got all our drum pattern, and we have our 808 as well. I left this part a little bit open because I wanted to leave room for vocals, because a lot of these types of beats that you'll hear are meant for rap vocals. So it's a little tedious, but it mixes up a little bit in a minute. So here's where the first riff comes in. And now we have our second riff. Alright guys, so that's the beat. I would say definitely it's not fully complete. If I were to ever release this beat, I would have to do a lot more structuring, I would add more variation, I would add a lot more stuff, but in terms of just making a very basic beat that kind of sounds like Metro Boomin, I guess, this is pretty much it. So thanks for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, give it a like, and share the video with your friends if you enjoyed it. So see you guys later.